The letter she left behind. The day my mother died, the world didn't end, it just got quieter, too quiet, like even the air knew something sacred had left. They said she passed peacefully in her sleep, but that word peacefully didn't suit her. My mother was a storm that smiled through thunder. She never did anything peacefully, not even love. The funeral was small, too small. A few neighbors, two cousins I barely knew, and my brother and sister, Daniel and Emma. I hadn't seen them in over a year. Daniel stood near the front, expensive black suit, face blank as stone. Emma was scrolling through her phone, whispering to someone, probably her boyfriend, probably about the inheritance. I stood in the back, hands shaking, holding a white rose. Her coffin was closed. She never liked people staring at her. "Let them remember me breathing," she once said. I walked up and placed the rose on top. "You always said we'd fall apart without you," I whispered. "Looks like you were right." Daniel turned. "Don't start, Liam," he said, his tone sharp. "Not today." I met his eyes. "Then when?" He looked away. "The lawyer's waiting. Let's get this over with." That was Daniel. Always business first, feelings later or never. After the ceremony, we drove to Mom's house, the same house we grew up in. The moment I stepped in, the smell hit me, lavender and coffee like her hugs used to. Everything was still in its place. The old clock ticking, the worn couch, the framed photo of us as kids, one of the few moments we looked happy together. We gathered in the living room. The lawyer, Mr. Cole, sat down, adjusting his glasses. "Your mother left a will," he said, "and a letter." Emma perked up. "A letter?" "Yes," he said, "to be read after the will." He opened the folder. To Daniel, she leaves the lake house in Vermont. To Emma, her jewelry and personal belongings. And to Liam, he paused. Daniel smirked. "Let me guess, sentimental junk." Mr. Cole continued. To Liam, she leaves the family home, the remaining savings, and the contents of her study. Silence. Daniel blinked. "What?" Mr. Cole looked up. "That's what she wrote." "That's insane," Daniel snapped. "He hasn't even been here. I took care of her, paid her bills, everything." "No," I said quietly. "You paid for her bills with her money." Daniel's face darkened. Emma shifted awkwardly. "Mom wouldn't do that," she said softly. "She loved all of us equally." "Apparently not," Daniel muttered. Mr. Cole handed me an envelope, sealed with wax. "She wanted you to have this, Liam." My name was written in her handwriting, shaky but clear. I tucked it into my jacket and said nothing. That night I sat alone in her study. The rain outside hit the windows like tiny fists. The house creaked, alive with ghosts. I lit a candle, the way she used to when she wrote letters, and opened the envelope. "My dear Liam, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And if your brother and sister are already fighting, I'm not surprised. You were always the quiet one, the one who saw through people, even when it hurt. There are things you don't know about this family, things I hid to protect you." My heartbeat quickened. Daniel and Emma aren't cruel. They're lost. When your father left, they filled the hole he left with money. You filled it with love. That's why I'm trusting you to make things right. In my study, behind the second bookshelf, there's a small wooden box. Inside, you'll find what I never told you. I dropped the letter and ran my fingers along the bookshelf. The second row of books had a loose panel at the back. I pulled it away, and there it was, a small wooden box, dusty and locked. The key was taped under her desk drawer. She always hid things in plain sight. I opened it. Inside were old photographs, documents, and another letter, addressed not to me, but to my children. The photos showed my mom holding two Bobbies, Daniel and Emma. But the papers, they were adoption forms. Both of them, adopted from a foster home when they were infants. I sat back, the truth hitting like cold air. Daniel and Emma weren't my blood siblings. She had never told them, never told any of us. The next morning I called them both. "Come to the house," I said. "There's something you need to see." They came reluctantly. Daniel looked irritated, Emma looked tired. "What now?" he said. I placed the box on the table. She left more than money. Emma frowned. What's that? Her truth, I said, and handed them the second letter. They read it together. I watched their faces change, shock, disbelief, then something softer. Emma's hands shook. She adopted us. Daniel stared at the papers. All this time, his voice cracked. She never told us. She didn't want you to feel different, I said. She loved you as her own, every single day. Daniel looked at me, guilt crawling across his face. We treated her like dirt. I called her selfish. I ignored her calls. Emma's eyes filled. She used to say, love isn't about who you come from, it's about who you stay for. I thought she just meant it as a quote. I said nothing. There was nothing to say. For the first time in years, the three of us sat quietly together. No shouting, no resentment, just silence, the kind that heals. Daniel looked up finally. Liam, I'm sorry for everything, for how I treated you too. It's okay, I said. You were angry at the wrong person, we all were. He nodded slowly. What are you going to do with the house? I'm keeping it, I said, but it'll always be open to you both. Emma smiled faintly. She'd like that. Before leaving, Emma handed me something. I found this in Mom's jewelry box, she said. It's yours. It was a small gold locket. Inside, a picture of all three of us, covered in sand, laughing by the ocean. On the back, engraved words. Family isn't who shares your blood, it's who shares your life. I stood by the window that night, holding the locket. The moonlight fell across her empty chair. You were right, Mom, I whispered. You didn't just raise kids, you built a family out of strangers. Weeks passed. Daniel started coming by on Sundays. Emma called more often. We began to cook together, laugh again, rebuild. Somehow, the house felt alive. One afternoon, while cleaning her drawers, I found an old phone. Her phone. It still worked. There was one saved voicemail from her, recorded just 2 weeks before she died. I pressed play. Liam, if I ever leave before you're ready, promise me one thing, don't let grief turn you into them. Let love win, even when it hurts. Her voice filled the room, soft, warm, like a blanket I'd forgotten I had. I listened again and again until her words sank into my bones. I realized she wasn't just talking about them. She was talking about me, about forgiveness. That evening Daniel called. Hey, he said awkwardly. There's this orphanage Mom used to volunteer at. I was thinking we could donate some of the money in her name. I smiled. Let's do it. We did. We sold the lake house, gave half to the orphanage, and the rest went into repairs for her home. We planted tulips, her favorite, in the front yard. On the day the first one bloomed, we stood there together, me, Daniel, and Emma. For once there were no masks, no old fights, just three people bound by one woman's love. Emma whispered she'd be proud of us. She already is, I said. The wind brushed past, warm and soft like her hand on my shoulder. I looked up at the sky and whispered, We're okay now, Mom, you can rest. That night I sat on the porch, the locket in my hand, the sunset melting into gold. I realized something: grief never really ends. It just changes shape. It turns into memories that guide you, lessons that stay, love that never fades. And for the first time since she left, I didn't feel lost. I felt home,